I'm tired of it! I'm tired of it!
In a time where it's become increasingly difficult to trust game developers to release a fully functioning product.
Is this a bad game though? No, it really isn't at all, but it doesn't feel worth the price they're charging.
Video game review sites have often built up a bad reputation, or well, a questionable reputation rather.
In fact, a lot of them have come back out and said that these are reviews in progress, that these are not to be taken as the final review score of the game.
This is due to the fact that a AAA game tends to score fairly high on websites like IGN, for example. Regardless of the content of the game, there seems to be a bubble score window that comes off, well, a little suspect. And there's also a little consistency, quality of life errors that really lead to shit like this. And I'm sure you've seen this meme somewhere, and that kinda just proves my point. But this was a review of a universally acclaimed game that lost points for being too much like the original. So while shit like this is going on, many people transition to watching non-sponsored YouTubers instead for their unbiased reviews.
Cuphead. People love Cuphead. The new video game. Look at the reviews. Everyone loves it.
And that's where Angry Joe fits in.
Oh shit, oh fuck, I had a video made on me. Oh fuck. Oh no, Angry Strawman Joe misrepresents fans. Fuck.
Angry Joe fills the niche in the community that was ripe for the taking. He portrays himself as the pure reviewer who only gives the brutally honest truth. He has amassed a tremendous following by going against the grain and condemning titles that get the 9s and 10s from the mainstream websites like IGN. And this seems like it could be great, right? Well, it would be, but part of me feels like you done fucked it up. I want to like Angry Joe. I really want to like him, but I've been so back and forth with this guy for the longest amount of time. I watch a lot of his content, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot. I even watch the movie reviews, which get criticized to hell by his core fan base. But it doesn't really make sense to me when he does so many of these things that make me flat out hate him. But then I realized one day, I think it's by design.
Before I start getting death threats from the now large and in charge Destiny community for my last review, for not including the most minute details and changes.
I mean, think about it. He really blew up at a time when people just don't support those big websites like they used to, and they don't look to those big websites for their game reviews anymore. And Angry Joe, I feel like Angry Joe, for the most part, just plays devil's advocate to what everybody else is fucking saying. I mean, have you seen how he talks to his fan base? Have you seen how he just addresses the comment section in his own videos? While I'm sure the opinions he shares are his own and they're justified, it almost comes off like he's just intentionally trying to draw in the opposition to bait the people who support the games into reacting.
I don't want to fucking deal with any of this, guys, like seriously.
So when I decided that I was going to criticize an Angry Joe video, I decided to pick something like, I don't know, Destiny 2, a game that I know a decent amount about, but I ultimately decided to scrap that entirely and cover a more recent video, Black Ops 4. Why? Because this is how I feel about Black Ops 4. As for Call of Duty, I'm kind of glad I didn't buy it.
Really?
Whoa!
Yeah.
You're a big Call of Duty guy too.
So they can suck my dick.
Well, there you go.
So now, I can just tell you straight away, there is no bias. I've played Black Ops 4, I got my hands on it, and I feel like I'm qualified to talk about it.
Oh my god, what am I gonna do? I actually like Call of Duty this year.
Who cares about single-player games anymore? We're giving you Blackout, and you love Blackout, don't you, Joe?
That's true. No, Joe, don't forget that they dropped single player. Nearly 33% of the value of the game. It's now just completely gone. You can't possibly support Activision in this trash, Joe.
You know
No,
you want
don't
to.
do it.
Do
Shut
it.
up. Shut up over there.
Shut the fuck up! Literally, stop. The campaign argument is one of the worst arguments you can make right now, and you actually managed to make it even worse.
Yep. But basically, Activision is saying single player doesn't matter anymore, and you guys don't like single player experiences. That's not true. Don't listen to all the fanboys that are like, oh, we never played it. It's less than 5% of people that complete that. Oh, that's all bullshit stats. If they want to throw those kinds of low-ass stats at you, then tell them how many people actually play multiplayer beyond 2 or 3 hours. That completion stat is really fucking low, too.
They forgot
there should be a fourth fucking bar there that has 0 out of 10. But yet somehow these reviewers are forgetting the fact
oh, that might look bad.
that an entire thing has been dropped and you're getting less value, and they're giving them praise and accolades for it. No!
I'm sorry, but if you're on the boycott Black Ops 3 hate train because they didn't include a campaign, you're fucking stupid. I'd be willing to bet the vast majority of so-called gamers who are complaining about this probably haven't bought into Call of Duty titles since, I don't know, Modern Warfare 2. It was a feature of the game people didn't fucking care about. Why? Because it's been half-assed for so many years. The only upgrade was the annual celebrity antagonist they would add every year.
Kevin Spacey was,
Son, I want to offer you a second chance.
Besides, this is a great soldier.
so this is the best Call of Duty game in recent memory. I love its gunplay, I love its gameplay, but I just cannot support it at $60.
Oh, I 100% agree with that.
Completely agree with you. It's a $60 game, or a $40 game being marketed as a $60 game, and they just removed a lot more than they put back into it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Chief called, this ain't it.
I think this competes more directly with PUBG, and for my money, Blackout is better than PUBG.
See, I play PUBG, but at this price point, I would still continue playing PUBG. If the price was lower, then yeah, Blackout's way better. The graphics are better, the vehicles.
I really do enjoy the Blackout mode, but really that doesn't supplement the value in the game. I don't think this is a $60 game. I think this is a $30 game.
Right off the bat, you're making 2 points that make absolutely no fucking sense. The first one being that it's a $40 game trapped in a $60 package, which, I mean, you're comparing it to PUBG, saying that PUBG is a better value than the Blackout mode because it's $30, but when you're buying Blackout, you're getting multiplayer and zombies, which 30 times 3 is 90, which you're not paying that. So I'm not really sure what exactly you're going on about there. The next point you're going after is that somehow the campaign being removed from the game is 33% of the value ripped out from the consumer's hands, and it's all gone! But meanwhile, again, you're replacing that mode with Blackout, which I don't know if you know how campaigns work. They're usually, I don't know, what, 6 hours? 5 hours?
4 hours!
There's really no replayability there. I mean, how many times are you going to play the same story mode? Now, Blackout, on the other hand, your favorite mode that you said in your own review, is actually a mode that you could play over and over and over and over with a progression system that might be flawed right now, but at the end of the day, that's going to see an update at some point. So I don't really understand where you're making the Blackout isn't a suitable replacement for the campaign, because that really is a really bad argument.
It's time to talk about zombies. What, Joe? You were trying to get me to play zombies all the time, and as you can tell by Joe's reaction, we're tired of zombies.
No, we're not brushing over this. I get that you're not a big zombies player, but you're reviewing the fucking game.
Like, I don't know what it is about this mode that people fall in love with and it's their favorite thing, but we've tested it. We tested all 3 modes. There are definitely some that's better than others. Blood of Tears, or the Tears one is perhaps
the Titanic one.
Yeah, Titanic one is really good. The stories are presented, so there's a little bit of story drop in there, but it's given to you as you play and then when you complete it. So I appreciated that, but that, again, don't try to tell me that's a supplement for the single player. It's not. This is a zombie mode. There's been zombies mode for the past 6 iterations of Call of Duty, and the gameplay is relatively the same. Okay?
We have, what, 3 zombies maps with a full completed Easter egg on day 1? 4 if you count the one that's locked behind the season pass.
You know how there are 3 zombie modes in the game? There's actually 4. There's 4 zombie modes maps in the game available right now. You've already paid for it on the fucking disc, but you cannot access it unless you pay them an additional
$49.95.
an additional $50, almost the whole price of a second game. You can get access to the 4th map that's already on your fucking disc.
Which, by the way, let's talk about that for a second, because this is the 3rd time the $50 season pass has locked a zombies map, and it would be horrible if an entire experience was locked. Oh wait, it's not. These were all fucking remakes. The first time they did it, it was Nuketown, a multiplayer map that was repurposed for zombies. That's probably the worst offender, because we couldn't even have played that map without it. Oh, but except it was released for $10 later on, no problem. The second time they did it was Doris in Black Ops 3, which, by the way, was remade from Black Ops 1, which was created in World at War as their 4th DLC. And now, right now, we're looking at Classified, which is a copy of 5 from Call of Duty Black Ops. So, none of these are a brand new zombies experience locked behind a season pass. It's a remake of a fan favorite, a remake of a map from Black Ops. That's all it is. I mean, I understand it probably should be there. It is day 1 locked DLC. But at the end of the day, they're going to sell it at some point for a fucking bargain price of $5 to $10.
We hit 3 of the buttons and we were like, we're racing around trying to find this 4th fucking button that you hit on the fucking Titanic. We couldn't find it. We're like, where the fuck is this thing? We died and we're so mad. But somebody told us, like, there's one under the ship. Under the fucking ship! You know, are you crazy? You gotta go swimming
You
or
gotta
something?
know where it is. And once you do it once, you know where they are every time.
Yeah.
So
you were trying to find the Easter egg steps, you were struggling through it. Well, you know what? That's part of the fucking replayability of the game. Just because you struggled in finding the steps and figuring out how it goes while everyone's chasing worlds first, doesn't mean it's any less interesting or any less fun for the casual viewer. There's things that are in these games that are made for the 1% and the 10% of players that they go out of their way to put in just for some people to see a cutscene that majority of players will never even get to see unless they find it on YouTube by accident. That's attention to detail. The company that charges you fucking money out the ass for loot boxes puts in a little something for all their zombies players so they keep buying the DLCs. I don't know, but that sounds amazing. But this is the biggest day 1 zombies experience we've ever had, and the fact that you're gonna gloss over that is absurd.
So yeah, that little burst of fun there at the end, like, I just don't feel like going through all that other stuff to get there.
But what else would you expect from Angry Joe? He's not gonna solve those Easter eggs. He doesn't have the time. He couldn't even finish the fucking raid in Destiny 2. And don't say he wasn't leveled up high enough, because he got halfway through and rage quit.
It's out of this world. But unfortunately, it quickly reveals itself as a tedious chore.
Motherfucker! Stupid! I kind of want to just get the fucking loot and get out of here.
This raid has caused me physical discomfort.
Like, I'm legit not even having fun. Like, this is fucking dumb.
With every process needed to be done 3 to 4 times over through 3 or 4 trials with multiple sections and frustrating mechanics.
And another thing that I found really funny, and this is probably the last thing I'll touch on from the review, is that the constant talk about DLC and micro DLC.
That stuff doesn't matter, and they're taking away our game and charging you the same amount, if not more. $50 for a season pass.
That's
seriously?
nuts.
That's fucking nuts. And charging you that to split your player base even more, to reduce your experience. And charging you for on-disc locked fucking content. I'm tired of it. Anyways, people out there that are defending Activision, oh, they need to charge $60 and they need to do this microtransaction. And they're dropping servers and they're lowering the experience for all these people. Come on, seriously. You could see right through this shit. At least you smart people out there that are seeing through that stuff, especially with the season pass and the free OS. There may not be microtransactions now, but I get the feeling that they're coming eventually.
It's coming.
You think it's coming?
No doubt about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, didn't the pre-purchase, you bought blackout points? Like Black
Yeah,
Ops
what is
points.
this, CP
I think,
or something?
It's like
BP?
Black Ops points. I think it's for the loot boxes.
And that clip right there, that's my favorite, because he doesn't even know what the fucking COD points are. Not that he doesn't know what COD points were previously, he doesn't know what's happening here. And one quick Google search will help you find that they've basically copy and pasted the Fortnite store. And at this point, there's no plans to introduce loot boxes, but that doesn't stop him from commenting throughout the entire fucking review, instead of just being happy they're not there at launch. Because if Activision was planning on making fucking microtransaction loot boxes, they probably would have been there at launch when the most people who could possibly be spending money would be playing.
And I'm so goddamn disappointed in these reviewers that aren't telling it like it is. But I bet you if I go on YouTube, they'll tell you like it is. Or I bet you if I go to the community, they'll tell it like it is. See? How does this happen? Critics 82, user score 5.7. Yeah, that is the reality of the situation.
And now you see, that's Angry Joe in a nutshell. That's his bread and butter, because he's trying to be the Metacritic score for the entire gaming industry, and he wants to bring you the facts. Not what they're telling you in the IGN reviews. He's the real review. But what you actually get is, well, the walking YouTube comment section for the most part.
And then everybody applauds them as if this is something that's huge innovation and great, and oh, they're agile. I've seen reviewers say, shut the fuck up, are you kidding me? They're literally copying Battle Royale because it is a fad.
And Angry Joe has found himself in a multitude of controversies, one of the bigger ones being his statement on Battlefield 5 and its inclusion of women, where just a year prior he had this to say.
They even throw historical accuracy right out the fucking window and put women on the actual front lines of battle outside of the French resistance fighters and the British special forces, which, yes, actually happened. There were women in combat, but I don't recall there ever being black female German soldiers as Nazis slaughtering GIs in World War II.
And then his tune changed completely when Battlefield 5 was the game in the crosshairs, and he had this to say.
The reason why to them that Battlefield 5 is having lower pre-orders is because there are women on the box, there are women featured prominently in the trailers, and there are women in multiplayer. And they're not going to spend a goddamn dime of their $60 on women being in World War II, because that insults their great-grandfather who fought in World War II. No women in World War II, in my fictional World War II.
And I don't really want to get into that much because honestly, this really isn't something that I want to turn into a political debate. And at the end of the day, a lot of other people have really covered this and driven this topic home. So I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can check it out if you want to hear about it. But it is worth noting because it really speaks volumes to Angry Joe's character. I mean, if you take Angry Joe, he's kind of like how Philip DeFranco is the homegrown YouTube version of, I don't know, Fox, CNN, mainstream media. But he's free from the clutches of corporate interference. Now, Angry Joe is that for review games, and when you're looking at companies like GameStop and IGN, he's free from the corporate clutches, and he has his own reviews and own opinions, and they're not touched by game developers offering him tons of money, and that makes a zero bias. But there is bias. It's evident right there. There are games that Joe does not like that he holds to a completely different standard than other games that are releasing around similar times.
All the stuff we like are the most un-Call of Duty things in Call of Duty
They're
are this
taken,
game's strength. Yeah. This is Blackout 3.5, and everybody giving it credit like it's 4. It's not 4. So it just makes me a little mad that outlets aren't being a little harder on the game just because it is the best Call of Duty. It feels so damn good.
And to bring it back, every time I watch this review on Call of Duty and I sat there, I was wondering, why does this feel like such a hit piece? And that's because it is. He's not a fan of Call of Duty. He is a fan of Battlefield. There is a level of bias, and do you know why? Because he's not a fucking game reviewer at a professional level. He's a fucking YouTuber who reviews games. That's all that he is. He's no better than any other fucking YouTube game reviewer. He's a fan of video games. He's very passionate about what he does. But he just doesn't like Call of Duty. It's not to say there aren't faults in the game. There are tons of faults in the game. But he goes after the most
minute details and changes.
To summarize, Angry Joe is the unbiased game reviewer that aims to bring you the kind of review of a game you won't find on IGN. It's the brutally honest type where he tries to tell his whole version of the truth. But I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to notice just by watching his videos that he does have a little bias for certain games. And I think that's much I can say with no problem, but I personally also believe that he engages with the communities of these games, the ones he doesn't like, just to draw them into the conversation, because those are views. And I can't prove that. I don't know what's going on in his head, and I don't even think that's that big of a deal. But if I have to leave you on one note, it's you shouldn't stop watching Angry Joe if you watch him now. He's giving his opinion in the review. It's just a biased one. That being said, you shouldn't only use his review, because the main point of a game review, while it is an opinion, is to help somebody make their decision on what they want to do with their money. And Joe's palette isn't always going to match up with your palette of what games you like. So you should always look at every possible source you can find when researching for games like this, because at the end of the day, you're spending your money. You're not spending Joe's money. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.
Wow.